everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sierra and today is part 2 of how to set goals for 2021 that you will actually be able to achieve. So today I am sharing my first 3 categories with you, which is family and home, relationships, and fun. Those are the first 3 categories that I chose to share with you guys. I was originally going to make my vision board in these videos, but I realized I can't find my magnets or my push pins for my little cork board thing that I use. So I just cut out all the pictures. I didn't do them very great, but I'm just going to show them to you in this video. Not actually on the board, but kind of show you the process. So on Pinterest, I just created a secret board and named it 2021 Vision Board. And then I searched for quotes and pictures that had to do with my goals. And now I'm just going to copy and paste them into a Google Doc. And then I'm going to print them out just because that's the easiest way to get them to size. And I also used Canva to like separate the different goals that I had into topics, but I've already printed those out, so I will show you those in a little while. For the purposes of this video, I didn't spend a whole lot of time cutting out all of my things. I'm going to cut them out a little bit nicer and neater whenever I go to put them on the actual vision board. But as you can see, I've just laid out everything and I've already kind of started to separate them. And then I have each category just kind of laying here. I haven't really went through any except for those couple over there. So I just lay them out like this, and then I figure out which picture corresponds to which goal under which category. And that is how I decide where they go on the vision board. Like I said, some of these I didn't cut out super pretty. I was just kind of in a hurry, but I am going to go back. I couldn't find my little pins and magnets to put them on my little vision board, so for this video I'm just going to be holding them up to show you. But this is what it looks like whenever I first start. Again, I'm going to make these a lot prettier. Obviously I'm not going to have all this excess, but that's kind of not really the point of this, so I just wanted to show you this is kind of how I start, and then I'm going to go through and organize them. So getting started, the first one I'm going to do, again, I have them on my phone. As I mentioned in my last video, I have all my goals written down on my phone so that I don't forget them. So I'm going to try my best to go in order. These are in no particular order of which order I want to achieve them in, but just so that I don't lose track, I'm going to do my best to go in order. So I'm going to start first with relationships. Like I mentioned before, I just made the little things on canvas. This says relationships, and then I just cut around each letter. I'm going to put this on my vision board, obviously, and then all the pictures that correspond to it under it. I don't have a whole lot of pictures for this just because I felt like most of my goals fell into other categories better than this one, but I will share with you the ones I do have. And again, I don't put a picture for every single goal because there are some pictures that may represent more than one goal, or there may just be things that don't necessarily have a picture to represent them. Of course, it is all up to you when you create your vision board, but this is just how I chose to do it. I didn't do a picture for everything, also because I probably would have run out of room. So for this one, I have 4 goals, but I only have 3 pictures. Some of them are a little bit kind of repetitive, but to get started, my first goal under my relationships is take the steps to create and continue living in a happy marriage. So as anyone that has previously watched my YouTube channel, you know that me and Jonathan are engaged. We are supposed to get married at the end of 2021 in October. As of right now, everything is still set. Nothing with COVID has affected that yet, and hopefully it won't. But you know, getting married is not just for fun and games. Like, it is a conscious choice to be happy with each other and to make the other person happy. And it's not just, oh, we're married so we're happy. That's not how it works. You have to work towards it every day. So we both know that. Obviously we are grown enough to know that not everything is perfect, not everything will always be perfect between us, but that we have to make the conscious choice to continue to be happy with each other, even if there are things that maybe we don't love about each other all the time. We have to learn to get through those things together. You know, hard times with each other, hard times with other people, just life in general can get in the way sometimes. So one of my goals is to create and continue living in a happy marriage, because right now we are so happy. We have been very happy for a long time. That's not to say that we haven't had our ups and downs, because every relationship does, and if you don't, then I think you're lying to yourself, truthfully. We haven't always been perfect. There has been things that, you know, that we argue about or that we bicker about or whatever the case may be, but you know, we are very happy and we treat each other very well, in my opinion. You know, we love to be together. We love you know, doing things for each other to show that we care about each other. So I just want to continue to do that. Of course, after we're married, it's even more important than when we're just dating. So for that, I just have a picture, as you can see right here, just a bride and a groom, you know, kissing at their wedding or whatever it is. I don't know. It just represented a wedding to me, so that is why I chose this picture. Another goal that I have under relationships is to communicate my needs more efficiently to those around me. So whether that be emotional needs, physical needs, mental needs, you know, if I just need a day to myself, instead of ignoring them, let them know, hey, I just need to be by myself today. Or, you know, if I'm feeling down and for whatever reason I want a hug, I need to just, you know, tell them, hey, I'm feeling really down today, I need a hug. For that, I put this picture of two people hugging, and it says, I need you to love me a little more today. I think this is very important for everyone, and while it may not seem super important, I believe that it is. You always need to communicate your feelings, even if you're not that great at it. You know, just by saying, you know, hey, I'm upset today. Like, that's better, in my opinion, than just ignoring them or acting funky all day in their eyes, and not just, instead of just telling them, hey, I'm not feeling great today about myself, or I'm super upset today. And this can go for even being happy. You know, I'm super excited today. I'm super happy about this thing that happened to me. Can we celebrate, or can we do this to, you know, keep the mood up, or whatever it is. I think that communicating your needs, whether good or bad, is super important in all your relationships, but especially in a relationship with your significant other, especially if you live together, because if they always feel like they're walking on eggshells because you never tell them how you feel, then that could cause a lot of problems in the future. And I have in the past tended to do this. I just kind of bottle up my feelings, but I think that I have gotten a lot better at communicating my feelings, so I just want to continue to do a good job at communicating how I'm feeling, whether it's good or bad, and even maybe if I know what I need, communicating that to that other person, no matter who it is, whether it's, you know, significant other, family, friend, whatever it may be. I think it's very important to let them know how they can help you, and if you don't know how they can help you, tell them that. Be like, you know, I feel like crap today and I don't know how to make it better. I just need to be here in the moment and feel like crap by myself. And if that's what it is, then they need to understand that. So that is one of my big goals, is just communicating my feelings and my needs better with the people around me. Another super important thing for me this year is to learn to love people in their love language and not mine. So if you're not familiar, there are 5 love languages, I believe, and each person has their own. You may be little parts of each one, or you may be fully one. You know, there's a test you can take. But my love language is words of affirmation, and that is basically where, you know, I like to be told that you love me, or that you're proud of me, or that I'm doing a good job at being your girlfriend or your fiance, or whatever the case may be. I need to be told that I'm doing a good job. I need to hear that in my head, because I may know that I'm doing a good job, but if you're not noticing that I'm doing a good job, then it doesn't mean as much to me. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. If you are a words of affirmation person, then I'm sure it does. But Jonathan's is physical touch, so he likes to hug and hold hands and kiss and all that stuff, and I'm really not a toucher. Like, I like to be in my bubble. You know, we can cuddle sometimes when I'm in the mood to be touched, but like, other than that, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be touched by anyone, for that matter. So learning that, you know, telling him I love him 500 times a day, it doesn't mean any less. It doesn't mean that I love him any less, because that's not his love language, but it's not as easy for him to understand my love when I'm showing him in ways that don't really affect him as much, if that makes sense. And there's a whole book about it. If you want to read into that, you can go ahead. So for that, for him specifically, I put this one. It's just, again, 2 people hugging. But like I said, his love language is physical touch and mine is not. So I need to learn to love him in that way more than in the way that I like to be loved. So another one is giving gifts. So you may be giving someone gifts all the time, but if their love language isn't gifts, then they're just going to be like, okay, you're buying me all this stuff, but for what? Like, they don't correspond it to your love, if that makes sense. Again, like I said, there's a lot of research behind it and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to learn more, you can just Google the 5 love languages. There's a whole book, there's a quiz, all kinds of things like that. But for me, that is super important, because I tend to just tell people how much I love them, because that's how I like to be loved, and not everyone receives love that way. So learning what people's love languages are, I think is very important, especially for me. And then not only learning it, but actually being able to love them in that way, I think is going to change a lot of my relationships for the better in the coming year, as long as I can stick to it. So that is one of my goals for 2021 with my relationships. And then the last goal that I have, I don't have a picture to go with it, but is to spend more quality time with Jonathan. So we hang out every day. A lot of the time we hang out all night together, like literally we don't go a day pretty much without seeing each other, and we are trying to buy a house, so we will be with each other even more than we already are. And I think, you know, sometimes we kind of let it, or at least I do, I let it cloud. The fact that we're together doesn't mean that we're spending time together or that it's quality time. So we might be watching TV together, but I'm on my phone and I'm not actually engaging in whatever we're watching. And while that may not seem super important, when you do that every single day, I think it adds up and it can cause problems. Obviously it hasn't for us, just because, you know, we know whenever we need to spend quality time together, like we sit down and we say, hey, like we need to spend time together, like actual time together, put the phones away, whatever it may be, you know, go on a little road trip, go out to dinner, whatever that may be, to make us just kind of come back together. And we've done a very good job of that, but I want to make sure that I personally am paying attention to when I'm not spending quality time with him, especially right now when we're both working like super weird hours and we don't get to see each other for very long every day, just because I do get home a lot later than normal. I think it's very important that I just spend more quality time with him, not just actually being present with him doing whatever activity, even if it is just watching TV, you know, actually engaging in the TV show and paying attention, and then we can talk about it or whatever the case may be. I think that's super important for me this year. So those are what I had under relationships. The next one I have, or the next category that I have, is fun. So a lot of this has to do with like creativity and travel and stuff like that. So again, I just made this little thing on Canva. It just says fun in cursive, and then I'm just gonna put it over all the pictures that go with it. For fun, the first goal that I have written down, again, these are in no specific order, is to be more creative, quality over quantity. So this is specifically relating to my YouTube channel, especially with Vlogmas. I was feeling very pressured to post a video every single day, and I wasn't taking as much time as I probably should have to create the videos and edit the videos to make them of good quality. So I'm always super worried about, oh, I have to get it posted on this day at this time, or like everything's gonna go to crap. And that's just not the case. So to represent that, I just got this picture. It's like little artwork from children. I just thought it was cute because, you know, you can create 100 things, but if they all suck, then that's not going to do any good for you. So I think I just need to realize, you know, if I miss a week, then I miss a week. If that means that my video the week after is 10 times better than it would have originally been, then that's great. And I just need to realize that that is okay to sometimes miss a day if I'm doing it for the right reasons. If I'm just like, who cares? Then maybe that's not a great reason to miss a week. But if it's because the video is going to suck, then that's a good reason to me. So just realizing that quality over quantity is super important. The next goal I have is to take more weekend trips, even if they are just, you know, 45 minutes away. When we went to Boone the weekend before Christmas, that wasn't very far away, but we had a great time. We were able to spend a lot of quality time together, and I think that we need to do more of that, because a lot of times we just don't feel like doing anything on the weekend. So even if it's just driving an hour away to see the buildings or whatever the case may be, I want to do more of that. And so to represent that, I just got this quote. It says, "The only trip you will regret is the one you don't take." And I think that's super important, whether it's a big trip or a small trip. So I just want to do more of that. You know, obviously not things that cost a whole lot of money, but just things that we can do so that we can spend time together and see more of the world, even if it is just a couple hours down the road. Next, I want to educate myself on more editing techniques, and I put better techniques in parentheses, but you know, what may be a better technique to me is not the same as what it would be to you. And so to represent that, I just have a camera. Again, just has to do with YouTube. I'm just using iMovie right now, and I'm doing the very basics, but I do want to learn more in order to grow and make my videos better. The next thing I have is to get to 600 subscribers on YouTube. So right now, as of this video, I think I'm at 277, and doing Vlogmas did help me a lot, but I do want to grow, and that's just for the year. Again, I've had my channel since April, and I'm almost at 300, so I think that is very doable, but I didn't want to like put 1,000 and then not reach it. This is kind of the whole going back to setting myself lower. So I just put a little YouTube subscribe button for that, and then if I reach that goal, awesome. But again, I don't always think it's about the numbers, and I'm trying to realize that more as I go on. So we'll see if we get there. I really hope I do. I think it's very possible, especially now that I'm not starting at 0. I already am almost at 300. So I think that's also important in gaining more subscribers, is to have a little bit to begin with. The next thing I have is to travel to 3 new states. So me and Jonathan want to travel to all 50 states eventually. It's like a bucket list thing, and we didn't get to go anywhere new this year, unfortunately, and I'm hoping that COVID will be gone next year, at least enough that we can travel to new states. We had a couple that we were supposed to go on, but that didn't happen. So to represent that, I just have this picture of the US, and then it's the person filling in each state with a picture from that state in the shape of that state. And we want to do this in our house one day, but one of my goals is 3 new states next year. So I don't actually know how many we've been to. We've been to quite a few, but we want to add 3 more because, like I said, we want to do all 50. It's like a bucket list thing. And then the last thing in my fun category is to go to Italy for our honeymoon. Again, this is all depending on COVID and if it's under control by next October. But I just put a picture of Italy on here to show that, and that is really where we want to go. So I'm praying that COVID is gone by then because I just really want to go to Italy. We've been talking about this literally like since we started dating, basically. Like, I want to go to Italy. I think it would be so cool, and we can just eat food the whole time we're there and it'll be great. So I'm really hoping that that works out. Also, another thing I had, like a little picture for the vision board I had that I forgot to show you, was this, and it said, film is not all about the fancy gear or camera movement, but more the story you want to tell. So I think that goes back to, you know, the better editing techniques. You know, it's not all about having super fancy cameras or fancy gear or anything like that, but making it look nice and being able to portray what I want to portray. So that goes back to the editing techniques and the creativity, the quality over quantity. You know, I don't need all this fancy stuff. I just need to make sure that I'm sharing what I want to be sharing. And the last category that I'm sharing in this video is family and home. So I have it right here. It's gonna go on there. I'm gonna obviously make it look nicer than that, but it was all kind of spread out when I printed it out, so I didn't really like it like that. Family and home is probably one of the biggest categories on my vision board other than personal growth. So this one is that's why I saved this one for last, just because it is super important. I have a lot of goals to do with family and home and stuff like that, and some of these I have never shared before. So if you're my family or my friends and you're watching this and you're like, what in the world? Trust me, I've been thinking about this for a very long time. I just haven't really shared it because just recently it has become something that may actually happen. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with my family and home. So the first one, obviously, buy our first home together. I just put a picture of a house. Obviously, our house is probably not going to look like this because we don't have that much money. But buy our first home together, we already got pre-approved. We've been looking with a realtor, and we found a couple that we like. None that we are in love with yet, but we have found a couple that we like. So hopefully within the first couple months of 2021 we will be buying our first home. Another thing I wanted to do was donate used items. So I just put a picture of a donation box with some clothes. This can be clothes, household items, literally anything. I just want to declutter and get rid of a lot of stuff, and hopefully I don't really want to take it to a Goodwill just because I want it to go to people that I know that are actually in need. So recently someone in our area, they had a house fire, so I want it to be something like that. Like, that sounds bad, but I would rather it go to someone that like desperately needs it than just any old average Joe going into the Goodwill just because it's cheaper there. So I would rather help like a family, but we'll see how that works out. Another thing I want to do is leash train Hendricks. He is not trained, but like he knows things. Like, he knows basic commands like sit, stay, lay down, all things like that. And he's not terrible on a leash, but he's just so strong. It's very hard to control him sometimes, especially like at the dog park when there's other things, like 1.5 million things going around. So I just put a picture of a dog on a leash. This is not what my dog looks like, obviously, but I just found this on the internet. So I just want to like leash train him better so that I won't be getting such a workout when I take him to the park or have to worry about him like running away or whatever. Another thing I want to do is cook more and eat a little healthier. I want to stop eating out so much. So me and Jonathan love to cook together, so that is why I chose this picture. It is just a couple, and I don't know if you can see it, but down here she has like a mixing bowl. So that is what I use to represent cooking more, and then that also kind of goes with more quality time with Jonathan because we do love to cook together. So that's really important. And I don't know, I just want to try new recipes. One of the things we're asking for at our bridal shower is recipes instead of cards, because I can look at a cookbook all day long, but I don't know, I just think it's cooler when other people, or like when it's a family recipe or something like that. So to end this video, I'm going to share my last goal under family and home, and this is kind of the one that's not really like a bombshell, but I don't know, I just feel like people that know me probably would never expect this from me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too far into it, maybe y'all don't actually care. But the last goal I have under this, and I have 3 pictures, they're quotes to represent them, and it's to research and start the process to become a licensed foster parent. So through my time as a guardian ad litem, I have dealt with a lot of children that are just kind of being tossed around. They don't really have anywhere to go. They're just put here until these people are tired of them, and then they're placed somewhere else, and it's just a whole mess. And it makes me so sad to even think about all these kids just being tossed around. Like the kids I have now, I think I've been to 8 schools and they're in the 3rd grade. So like that's super sad to me, and there are never enough foster parents to go around, and I don't know, I just think it's super sad. Like there's literally websites you go on and it's like basically the Humane Society for dogs but for foster children, and you go on there and it has their story and it tells you like what they're looking for in a family, and it just breaks my heart. And you have to be 21 to foster, I think. So I'm finally old enough, and then Jonathan and I are getting married, and we don't want our own kids right away. We kind of want to be married, but I thought, you know, there are so many kids that don't have families. They don't have anyone to take them in, and a lot of kids, especially the older ones, like no one wants them because they're older. And that sounds terrible, but it's true. You go on these websites and it's all like teenagers and like preteens. It's never little babies. Like everyone wants the little babies. Nobody wants the older ones. And I personally am not great with babies, but kids that are kind of like not necessarily self-sufficient but can talk and tell you what they need and things like that, I do a lot better with that because I can relate to them more. I think probably because I'm closer in age to them, and I feel like it would be less like taking care of a kid, and we could, I don't know, this probably is not sounding good, but more like we're there to be your friend. We're there to help you along the way. I'm not there to be your mom. Like I'm not your mom, and like you're old enough to know that I'm not your mom, but I can be there to help you and be there for you and teach you the way to not necessarily properly live your life, but to live your life in a better way. And I think that me and Jonathan are very, like, I have become very compassionate and like sympathetic to people that I don't know who they are, and it's super weird for me, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know, I really like that about myself now, and I think that it would be great to give these kids a chance. You know, I don't necessarily want to adopt them. You know, if that were to come up, then I'm not gonna say that I would be totally against it, but our plan, we've talked about it a lot actually, our plan is not to adopt these kids, but to help give them a better life to start out, to where they can, you know, if they're teenagers and they're going to live on their own, that they can do that and they can live a successful life and not get caught up in all the bad things and all the trauma, but we can actually help them with that and help them get through it and show them, you know, this is what love is, this is what a caretaker is supposed to be. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's been on my heart and my mind heavy recently. So I have 3 quotes that go along with this. So this one right here says, "There's always room at our table and in our hearts." And I just think that's super important. You know, even if they're not living with us, you know, even if they did live with us and then they move out and they want to come back for Christmas dinner or whatever, like our doors are always open. We're always here to have you at our table. We're always here to listen to your problems. And I think that's more my end goal, is to, you know, help them while they're with us but still be their friend after. And I don't know, I have a lot of feelings about this, and like I feel like I'm very young, so people don't take that seriously from me, but like it really has been on my heart heavy. So another quote that I have for this, it says, "A family doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be united." So again, you know, we're not always going to be perfect. We may not always know how to help, but we can always be there and be one big happy family at the end of the day. And then the last one I have, which I think is one of the most important quotes, is, "The problem with our world is that we draw the circle of family too small." And, you know, of course I want to have my own kid. Like I said before, I don't necessarily plan to adopt, but I don't think that it's fair for all these kids to just be out there with no family when we could bring them in our home and let them be our family, and we can be there for them, and they can, you know, still have a great life, even though it may not be permanent. We can at least give them something awesome for that short little time span. So that is my first 3 categories for goals. I'm going to share later how I plan to achieve those goals, but for now I just wanted to share with you what my goals were. So I'm going to end this part 2 right here because my camera is about to die actually. So those are the first 3 sections, and then in the next video tomorrow I will share the next 3 sections of goals that I have with you, which is personal growth, finances, and work. These are more kind of fun other than that last one that I just dropped on everyone, but I've really enjoyed making these so far. Obviously I've made them all the same day and wearing all the same clothes, but I've really enjoyed this, and I've really enjoyed sharing this and just speaking them, even if I'm just talking to a camera. Speaking them into existence kind of has made me feel a lot better as well, instead of just having them on my phone for myself. Like sharing them has made me feel a lot better, and I hope that I have encouraged you to set some goals for 2021. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below, and I will be back again tomorrow for part 3.